5.
The Bolshoi Sayatsky Island, part of the Solovetsky archipelago in northern Russia, is home to yet another mystery. Prehistoric residents from as far back as 3000 BC used the island to build villages and sacred sites, including an irrigation system. They also covered the Bolshoi Sayatsky at some of the surrounding islands in large piles of boulders containing bones, petroglyphs and places of worship. Most tantalizing of all, they constructed mysterious stone labyrinths, but next to nothing is known about these people or their way of life. The largest labyrinth is 24 meters in diameter, and most of them have a spiral shape, some with a double spiral resembling two serpents with their heads in the middle facing each other. These structures are built of 2 rows of boulders, overgrown with vegetation. There are 13 or 14 of them on the island itself, with about 35 in total. What they were used for is unknown, but some archaeologists believe that they represented a border between our world and the underworld, or were used ritualistically to help the dead pass from this life to the next. Labyrinths are a rare archaeological find, with only 300 known worldwide. The ones in and around Bolshoi Sayatsky are some of the best preserved in the world.
4.
In 2014, archaeologists digging at the site of the Civil War Centre in Nottinghamshire made a bizarre discovery: a 15 centimetre green glass bottle, probably used as a witch bottle. Witch bottles grew out of the witchcraft scares in Europe and America in the late 1600s and 1700s. These were usually made of stoneware or glass, although inkwells and candlesticks were also converted for the purpose. About 200 of these objects have been found, and they often contained some combination of pins, needles, nails, fingernails, hair and even urine. They were believed to protect the owner against the evil spells and malign influence of witches, first mentioned in Sadducismus Triumphatus, or Full and Plain Evidence Concerning Witches and Apparitions, by Joseph Glanville in 1681. They were buried or installed in houses in great secrecy, because that secrecy was part of the ritual that surrounded witch bottles and similar artifacts. There is a striking lack of documentation on them despite their widespread use all the way up to the mid-20th century. Other objects that were used to protect people from witchcraft included skulls, horseshoes, concealed shoes, brooms and mummified cats, to name a few.
3.
The unanswered mystery of 7,000-year-old Ubaid lizard men. Among the more famous artifacts on this list are the Ubaid snatchers of Iraq, mostly found in Tel Abad, Ubaid. They came from a pre-Sumerian people, the Ubaidians. These hand-sized statuettes usually depict lizard or snake-like people in various informal poses, such as holding and suckling a baby. Others are portrayed wearing shoulder padding or armour and holding staffs or scepters. It is the elongated heads and almond-shaped eyes that lend their figurines their reptilian appearance, leading many to believe that they depict serpent-related gods. Stranger theories conjure up extraterrestrials or an unknown reptilian race that may or may not still exist. However, most archaeologists believe that the figures served a more mundane purpose, and some even question whether they depict anything reptilian at all. The Ubaid society was known to practice skull modification, whereby the skull was manipulated from an early age to deform its shape, which would explain the heads. The almond-shaped eyes are a fairly common early stylistic rendering of Asiatic features, and less pronounced examples have earlier been found around the region. A lack of contextual information surrounding the sites where the figures were unearthed makes it hard to establish their purpose. Many of the figures were found buried with individuals, yet also seemed to have held a purpose during the owner's life, because not everyone had a figurine, Additional clues include the similarity of their features and the general age group of the figure's owners, mostly young adults. The owners may have been teachers, shamans, or priests of some kind.
2.
Several museums around the world contain bizarre, once-living artifacts of a legendary beast from the Middle Ages, called a rat king. A rat king is formed when several rats have their tails fused together, whether by knotting or being somehow glued together. The result is a small horde of rats all facing outward from the central knot, presumably forced to act as one beast. The more fanciful accounts hold that one leader rat is suspended in the middle and acts as the head who directs the rest. A nightmarish notion, especially considering the fears of plague that rats conjure up. The largest of these disturbing artifacts contains 32 of the little horrors and resides at the Mauritanium Museum in Altenburg, Germany. Some existing rat kings are mummified while others are preserved in jars. Rat kings have been found in Germany, France, Poland and Netherlands, Belgium and Indonesia. In every case except Indonesia, the rats were black. As recently as 2005, a farmer named Reen Kayov found a rat king consisting of 16 individuals, 9 of which were already dead, underneath the floorboards of his farm in Estonia, their tails glued together by frozen sand. Rat kings aren't always composed of rats. Mice kings and even squirrel kings have also been reported. In June 2013, an animal clinic in Canada received quite a shock when a city worker brought in 6 squirrels fused to each other's tails by tree sap. They managed to save the plucky squirrels. Their tails were partially shaved, but they were otherwise intact.
1.
The world is full of bizarre and mysterious artifacts. While many of them are almost certainly hoaxes or have improbable theories attached to them, many more are truly mysterious or have outlandish histories. The Codex Gigas is the largest medieval manuscript in the world. It is also known as the Devil's Bible because of the large illustration of the devil on the inside and the legend surrounding its creation. It takes 2 people to lift the book, which is made of more than 160 animal skins. It was written in the 13th century AD, and it currently resides in the National Library in Stockholm, Sweden. Legend has it that the Codex Gigas was written by a monk who made a deal with the devil after being sentenced to death by being walled in alive. With the devil's aid, the monk wrote the book in a single night. The portrait was painted by the devil himself. Oddly enough, the handwriting in the book is remarkably even and stable throughout, as if it really was written within a short period of time. However, it would take at least an estimated 5 years of non-stop labour to write the work, and most scholars believe it took about 30 years. Besides, wouldn't you use the devil to help you get out of the wall instead of writing a book? At first glance, the contents of this bizarre book are equally strange. It contains a full Latin Vulgate Bible, interspaced with several other books, including Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, a collection of medical works by Hippocrates and Theophilus, the Chronicle of Bohemia by Cosmas of Prague, and other smaller texts. The latter works include a text on exorcism, magical formulas, and an illustration of the heavenly city. Today it seems bizarre to us why a manuscript would have such desperate texts, but it's important to understand that a monk would often confine himself to a desk as a form of penance, spending his lifetime copying important or interesting works. Multiple work manuscripts were common due to materials being rare, making it imperative to use all available space. The discipline and craftsmanship of such an undertaking is a skill that rarely exists these days. Modern scholars believe that the Codex Gigas originally came from the Benedictine monastery of Podlasice in the modern Czech Republic, and that was taken as spoils by the Swedish army in the 30 Years' War.